For the second home match running, 13th place Queen's Park Rangers face a John Eustace managed side on Friday night, with 21st place Derby County heading to Loftus Road with hopes of reigniting their survival bid in their first fixture under their new manager. Joining me to discuss Derby's season so far, where it went wrong under Paul Warne, and his thoughts on John Eustace is Craig Nash from the RamsTalk Podcast, while I'll be saying a few words on Rangers at the end, so make sure you stick around for that. If you enjoy this match preview and you're new to Hoopsa, please consider subscribing on YouTube. I'm now just 50 subscribers away from 3,000, or give me a follow and a rating on Spotify or Apple if you're tuning in there instead. Hello Craig, how are you mate?
Yeah, feeling good, mate. Feeling positive. John Eustace just been announced. So, feeling good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thanks. Yeah, obviously a big bit of news to start us with. That's the obvious elephant in the room to chat about first. But let's kick off first with a rough summary of your season, sort of leading up to this point. How's it been going?
Uh, it's been a tricky one, especially in the last like 6 or 7 weeks. I think we started out quite positive. We looked okay. I thought we were going to comfortably stay up, but I feel like the rest of the championship found us out really around Christmas time, and there was no plan B with the team and what Paul Warne wanted to do. So it was evident that he had to go. Has they got rid of him too late? I'm not sure. We are looking like we might get sucked in even further, but hopefully that change of manager today will keep us above that dotted line.
Yeah, and as you said, from the outside, your sort of survival bid seemed like it was going roughly to plan until just after Christmas. Then it was a run of seven straight losses and now a draw. So what was it that went wrong? You said about sort of the championship sort of sussing Derby out a little bit.
Yeah, I think there was no plan B. Paul Warne's football was all about working really hard, getting the ball down the channels, getting crosses into the box, and not a lot of play through the middle of the pitch. And I think teams soon realised that we just had one way of playing, and once they figured out how to defend that, there was no other way, and that we'd be able to break them down. And I kind of think that's what happened. We were unlucky with injuries as well. We've had a lot of injuries this season and lost a lot of big players, and our strikers weren't converting the chances that they should have, and we missed a lot of big chances. So it's a real mix of those. But personally, I just think it was plan A, and once plan A didn't work, that was it. We were doomed.
Now, as you mentioned at start, John Eustace returns to the final club of his playing career as your new manager. Probably the biggest shock appointment of the season, I'd say, given where he had Rovers. How are you feeling about the appointment?
Amazed, to be honest. I was thinking that we hadn't sacked Warne earlier because there was nobody obvious available. I thought we would be appointing someone who was out of work. So when Warne was finally sacked last week, John Eustace was not on my radar. I was thinking about people like Rob Edwards, Slaven Bilic was mentioned as well, people who are out of work. So elated and amazed that we've managed to pull him in. Hopefully it's not too late and he can just give us that boost to keep us up. But I'm feeling really positive, and I'm thinking if we can avoid relegation this season, then next season we'll be looking a lot more comfortable, fingers crossed.
Are there any concerns about him sort of jumping ship from Blackburn for a relegation battle, given where they were, or do you think that says more about Rovers?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to answer this as a Derby fan, right? I think it says a bit more about Blackburn as a club and where they are. Maybe long term, he thinks he can take Derby further long term under our ownership model than he ever could with Blackburn. Short term, it does look crazy. Like, there's no doubt about that. It looks completely crazy. But yeah, he said about his family as well, and I don't think you can really discount how important that is. If he's living in a hotel 6 days a week, you wouldn't want that for yourself, would you? So I understand that pull as well. Um, there's no loyalty in football, is there? A Premier League club could come calling for John Eustace this time next year, and he would go. So it doesn't particularly concern me going forward. I'm just hoping we can get the most out of him. And if he is getting touted by bigger clubs in the future, that only means he's done a good job for us, right?
Yeah, of course. Let's focus on the players now. So, who can cause Rangers problems at Loftus Road on Friday night, and where can Rangers get at Derby?
Um, attacking wise, we have been really struggling, to be honest. So I don't really know how to answer that question because I'm worried about where the goals are coming from for Derby at the moment. We've signed a new guy from Norway called Solverson, who looks like a bit of a handful of a target man. And if we can get some service into him, then potentially he can be a bit of a handful in the box. But still early days with him. We haven't seen loads of him. On his day, Nathaniel Mendez-Lang can be a dangerous player, but I think this year the championship has started to show him up a little bit, and maybe he isn't quite at the level required for this league anymore. Our biggest asset at the moment is defensively. We've got three really good, strong centre backs. If he's fit, a really good defensive right back in Ryan Niambi. So I'm confident that we can be quite resolute defensively, and it wouldn't surprise me if tomorrow is a boring 0-0, to be honest.
Now, it was 2-0 in the reverse fixture at Pride Park back in October, but Derby's last visit to Loftus Road in April 2022 ended with a late 1-0 home win that relegated the Rams to League One. So to round us off, let's get your score prediction for tomorrow night.
Well, I kind of jumped the gun a little bit early there, but because we're so toothless in attack and we look pretty good at the back, sorry to disappoint your listeners, but I'm going to have to go 0-0.
What a Friday night, eh?
What a Friday night. Beautiful, isn't it?
Well, Craig, thank you so much for jumping on to chat about Derby, and all
That's
the
my
best for the
pleasure.
rest of the season.
Thank you for having me, mate. Appreciate it.
Big thanks to Craig once again for jumping on for this preview. You can check out the RamsTalk podcast in the description below. So, once again, QPR face a team immediately after they've gotten rid of their new manager. And in this case, it just so happens to be not only our old assistant, but the manager who last led the opposition at Loftus Road. I have to agree with Craig, really. From the outside looking in, it does look like a crazy decision from Eustace given where Blackburn are, but that does seem to say a lot about how that club are being run. Having steered Rovers away from the drop last season, Eustace will be confident, though he doesn't have a 33-goal Sami Smodic to help him out this time, and the bigger question will be whether Derby have the squad capable. The Rams have won just once away from home this season, a 2-1 victory at Coventry, and now that their previously respectable home form has dropped off since the turn of the year, they've started to veer into trouble. Interestingly, when it comes to goals scored and conceded, Derby and QPR aren't far away from one another, with Rangers having scored 2 more and conceded 1 less. Generally speaking, defensively Derby are in a better position than many teams around them, and so I imagine that's where Eustace will double down, particularly as a start on Friday night. That means our attack will need to be much more on song than it was on what was a very frustrating Tuesday night in Coventry in order to break this team down. First though, I think Cifuentes will need to work out what he's doing with his midfield. Varane's been benched 2 matches in a row. We became incredibly deep once he replaced Colback at Coventry next to Field, and we really missed the energy and ball carrying of Morgan, who I feel needs to come back in for a start here. Chair will presumably play in the middle again, a decision that was less effective against the Sky Blues than it was against Rovers, but it should suit this game to a T. Strangely, Rangers have now lost 3 of our last 4, so we really need to get a win in this one for me ahead of a very tough run of fixtures to come in March. So let's round off with a score prediction. I'm going 3-1 QPR. I think they're going to want to make it right from Tuesday night. You can sense the frustration from Cifuentes and Steve Cook in their interviews. I think we're really going to go for it this time. Hopefully that gets us back on track. Thank you so much for tuning in for this preview. Do let me know your own score predictions and thoughts ahead of this one in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this one and you're new to Hoopsa, please consider subscribing. It really helps me out. Thank you so much once again, and I'll catch you in my next one for my match reaction. Come on, you Rs.